Hello everyone, thank you for joining the Freedom Experiment. My name is Adia Smith, and today me and my husband Rodney, we're going to be talking about the government. We're going to be talking specifically about how they consistently invade the rights of individuals, but legitimize it by calling it protection. Now let me just ask all of you guys out there, what would you do if one day you were sitting at home in your living room with your 18-month-old child? You get a knock at the door, and then through that door comes two adult males holding guns and tells you that you have to hand over your 18-month-old child and don't make any sound, don't make any noise, do not try to retaliate against them. What would you do? Would you let them take your child, or would you retaliate? Okay, now think about that. Now, imagine if those two men were wearing their navy blues, they were police, and they were carrying badges. Does your outlook on the situation change? If it does, why? Why should it change? The reason we're talking about this today is I came across a broadcast a couple of days ago about a young Sacramento couple. The Sacramento couple had a very young child, about 18 months old, and I could be wrong about the age, but around that age. And the child had some type of heart ailment. Now, they had taken the child to one of the hospitals in the area, and they had diagnosed the child and wanted to quickly perform a type of surgery. The parents were not comfortable with the diagnosis, and they wanted a second opinion. They also were not comfortable with the care that they were getting at that hospital. Now, don't you think it's your right that if you're not feeling comfortable with the type of care that you are ultimately paying for, you should be able to go and get other care and get other treatment? Certainly. But our government didn't see it this way in this case. So, against the recommendation of the hospital, the young couple decided to take their child and release them from the hospital and take them to another neighboring hospital to get a second opinion on the ailment and also to seek out better care. Upon doing this, they were then accosted by the police in their home and made to give over their sick child that they just got a second opinion for, over to the police in child protective custody. Now, I don't know about you, but if anybody was to come into my house and tell me to hand over one of my children for no reason, I know I haven't aggressed against my child, I haven't hurt them, I haven't done anything wrong, and you were to come into my house and take my child, I don't know that I would not retaliate. So what is out there to protect us, the people of the United States, from being in a situation like this where we have not done anything wrong, but taken our own personal right to seek out better care and then be tormented and retaliated against by our government in the form of having our children taken away from us?
And to add to that, the parents even had the doctors check out the child before they left to see if the child was okay and the child was safe to leave with their parents. So there was no reason for the police to even be called on these people because they did nothing negligent.
So I would say to ask yourself, again, what is it that makes it acceptable for something like this to happen? And this is certainly not the only case of things like this happening. There's actually laws out there where if you actually have a child in a public hospital, that child is actually the ward of the state until your child is released from the hospital. So at any given time, if that hospital doesn't deem you a fit parent, and it could be for anything, they could not know you at all. You could have done absolutely nothing. They could call in your government and have them take your child away from you or not let you have your child when you leave that hospital. Is this necessary? Is this something that we really want to stand behind as a country, as people, as a community?
But Adia, this is our government. This is who protects us. I'm sure they had great reasons for taking these kids, right?
Right, exactly. And that's to get to my other point. So when is protection really protection, and when is it an invasion of personal rights? And I think that's the question that we really need to ask.
Doesn't the government need to protect us from ourselves?
Well, that would mean that everybody in the government, those individuals, are able to always make the correct decision, not only for themselves, but for each and every individual out here. So that means they must know you personally.
Even if they don't they make the right decisions because they have these experts in the government that know what they're doing, right?
Well, a broke clock is right twice a day, so I guess they could at least get it right twice.
I guess you're right about that.
No, I would say that
does the government have any right to your child, to anybody else's child?
But they do, and we let them have this right. Now, should they have a right to your child to be able to come to your home and take your child? Absolutely not. But is that the case in our society? It is.
It's because a lot of people give their implicit consent because they actually believe that the government has the power to do such things.
Exactly.
So really all we have to do is spread the word, and once people realize that a lot of government is really not needed, then it just goes away.
Well, it's not only that, but people have to understand how that government is set up, how these laws are actually set up, and what it is that they are asking for when they ask for this government. When you go in and you vote on a levy, when you vote on a bill, when you vote somebody into a specific position, what are you truly asking for? You're truly asking this person to take away your rights, because that's what they're doing. They're taking away their rights because you're saying, I can't make this decision on my
they're
own.
voting for the person
to
to give them their rights and take it away from somebody else.
That too.
Right? I'm voting so I can get my rights handed to me, which means somebody else won't have that same right. Or I'm voting for this person to bring money to me, which means they're going to take it from someone else to give it to me.
Yeah, but I still think it's you saying, I'm giving you permission to take my right to make my own decision.
Yes, I agree.
Make the decision for me. And that's truly what you're asking them to do.
Kind of like asking a parent to do something for you.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to make this decision, you just make it for me. I don't want to decide what I'm going to eat, you decide for me. That's what you're asking. That's what you're having them do whenever you ask for this type of government for our society.
And how are they able to do that? With what money are they able to do this with?
Exactly. Your money.
Yeah.
So it's your money that you pay in taxes, whatever tax that you pay, because they can appropriate those funds any way that they want to. But it's your money that you pay in taxes that they can actually use to then turn against you and intrude on your own privacy.
Oh, so those people who had their kids taken, they indirectly paid for that service to have those kids taken.
Sure. Well, who pays the police salaries?
We do. Property owners, business owners, individuals.
CPS, whatever government agency you want to call it, who pays their salaries?
Yep.
The people. Because you're saying you want this government. So indirectly, they paid for our government to come in and forcefully take their child away from them.
Wow.
Now, I ask anybody that's going to watch this, in what world do you really want for somebody to be able to aggress against you in such a manner that they can come into your home and forcefully take your child out your home and you can't do anything about it?
I don't want to live in that society.
I certainly don't either.
Well, I appreciate you talking to us today on the Freedom Experiment.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for having me and baby Marcus here. And we just want to say to everybody that tunes into the Freedom Experiment to just continue to keep your mind open, keep your ears open, and really think about the things that you are seeing, that you are hearing, and that you are experiencing in our society.
Okay, before we go, let's give an alternative to the police and the government. One good alternative we could have private police.
That's a good idea. I'm glad that you said that because, there's one thing that we always say, especially in our line of work, is that, we shouldn't point out problems without coming with some resolutions. And certainly we could have a private police. We have private police. People hire private investigators. People hire their own security. Right.
So let's talk about the destructiveness of government then. The thing is, those private security firms have no jurisdiction, or they have no power compared to the government. The government can supersede what a private investigator or a private security firm can do.
Right, but that's only because we let them, because we say, government, we want you to put a body in place that is going to protect us, and call it the police.
Right, and the problem with the government handling all police and protection services is that you can't get rid of them. Yes, the individuals that do a bad job may go away, but that doesn't solve the problems because somebody else will be in their place doing the exact same thing.
Exactly. Now, if you were paying for a service in any other state, say you take your car to the mechanic does a bad job, and they don't fix your car, do you have to pay them? No, you don't have to pay them. However, that doesn't work with your government because you still have to pay them. And do they do a great job? No. And you don't get the opportunity to say, I don't want to pay you for this service.
Right. And a business that doesn't get money goes out of business. The government, they don't make money. They take it. So they won't go out of business. They'll just take it.
But to go back to our resolution, if you had a private police company that was overseeing some of these things, or that you were actually paying to enforce certain statutes that you think are important in order for you to have your freedom, then if they weren't doing the good job, then you would have the right to fire them. You would have the right to not pay them and to not utilize their service. You don't have that right with the government.
Right. And then there's organizations like PETA that was in an uproar over Michael Vick that could put pressures on different organizations and put them out of business, because the more people that know about the injustice of this private security firm that took somebody's baby, the less chances of somebody else signing up for their services in the future.
Right, exactly. So if it is private organization, you do have that alternative. But with your government, there is no alternative.
There is no alternative. And we're not saying that a private company solves all problems and it's going to be utopia. There's always going to be crazy people, always going to be people trying to cheat people. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Nothing. I'm just saying that that's absolutely correct. It's just a solution. It's just a alternative.
Right. And with the government, there's no alternative, right?
Right.
All right. This is Rodney Smith with the Freedom Experiment. Adia Smith, thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.